Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today's topic, I wanted to go over how hard is it to run a 3 hour marathon. And anybody that's trying to run 2 hours and 59 minutes, I don't care if you are a female or you're male, you're going to have to make sure that you're pacing properly in that race. And more importantly, you're not building up your training build up in a matter of 8 to 12 weeks. Really, most athletes need more time to prepare for a sub 3 hour marathon. 8 to 12 weeks is a very short amount of time to prepare properly to run under 6 minutes and 52 seconds per mile for 26.2 miles or 4:16 per kilometer for 42.2 kilometers. So, my recommendation is this: focus on a longer buildup, preferably at a minimum 16 weeks, but really start focusing on a longer build-up between 20 and 24 weeks. I've also created training plans on RunDreamAchieve.com for athletes that are trying to break a 3 hour marathon that range anywhere from 8 weeks all the way to 24 weeks. I also have a course that I created called the Sub 3 Hour Marathon Pro Course. You can click on any of the links below this video if that's something that you're interested in. I go in depth on how to break the 3 hour marathon in that particular course. It is very difficult to break a 3 hour marathon. In this question of how hard is it to run a sub 3 hour marathon, most athletes will spend several iterations trying to go under the 3 hour marathon barrier. So my advice is to be very, very patient with yourself. Do not beat yourself up if you have a few bad workouts or a few bad races leading up into your goal marathon event. Focus on a 10-day taper rather than a 3-week taper. Don't start dropping your volume and your intensity 3 weeks out before the race. It's a big mistake I think a lot of athletes make, and there are many athletes that do a 3-week taper that do still break the 3 hour marathon barrier, but I've found over the years that 10 days is about the best amount of time for you to really start to rest and start dropping your volume and your intensity only 10 days out from your main race. The reason for that is because you continue to prepare your body, continue to remind your legs of what you're training them to do, and then once you get to the 10-day mark, 10 days is plenty of time to prepare and to start to rest and recover from all of the several months of hard training that you've been doing. The key thing is when you're, in terms of how hard is it to run a sub 3 hour marathon, you're going to have to hold, like I said, 6:52 mile pace for 26 straight miles or 4:16 per kilometer for 42.2 kilometers. So you have to improve the body's lactate tolerance. Okay, if you're spending too much of your weekly volume running too aerobically, you're just going to build your endurance, but you're not building that strength and stamina that you're going to need in order to run a 2:59:59. It is, in my opinion, an elite time. There are men out there training to do this. There are females, women out there preparing to break the 3 hour marathon. Many of them do achieve this barrier, so if they can do it, so can you. But that being said, you have to focus on spending a higher percentage of your weekly volume training well below 6 minutes and 20 seconds per mile or around 3:50 or faster per kilometer. Okay, you want to make sure that you get that sub 3 hour marathon race pace to feel easier and for you to sustain that goal race pace for the entire duration of the race and not just for a certain amount of the race. A lot of athletes will miss their time and will say, afterward, I know because I've experienced this myself. I was on sub 3 hour marathon pace through 18 miles, but then, but that happened. Okay. It's what happened at the finish line. Did you get across that finish line with 2:59:59 on the clock, or did you not? And if you didn't break the 3 hour marathon, what are the things that you know now to change so that you can get across that finish line in record time? Okay, focus on a negative split. Okay, run the second half of your goal marathon faster than you run the first half. Okay, if you're trying to break a 3 hour marathon, there's no sense in the first half in an hour and 20 minutes. Okay, is your goal to run 2:40 or is it to run 2:59? Okay, so you may be feeling phenomenal in that first half. Okay, you have 2 half marathons in a row you're going to have to run under an hour and 30 each. So my recommendation, if you're trying to break the 3-hour marathon, is to make sure that you run more conservative in that first half and really drill down on that last 10K. That is the point where most athletes are going to get the weakest mentally, and you will be able to pick them off in the last 6.2 miles or the last 10 kilometers of the race. Make sure that you are practicing hydration in training. Okay, you can get away with not drinking in a 5K or a 10K, but good luck trying to do that in a marathon, a half marathon, or a 10-mile race. Nutrition, calorie intake is absolutely vital if you're going to break the 3-hour marathon. So it's absolutely essential that you pay attention to that. Make sure that you're dropping water bottles out every 3 miles or every 5 kilometers along your long run route. Okay, drive the route with your car first and drop, just that's what I did over the years. I would drive the course, wait till I got to every 3 miles, I would drop water bottles out. And then I would practice drinking, not sipping, but drinking in training, so that when I got to the race, I was able to drink. I was able to find out prior to going into that race how much fluid and how much calories I could intake. In terms of gels, if you're running a marathon and you're trying to break 3 hours, I recommend ingesting about 4 to 5 gels during that race. Again, it's not a 5K or 10K, so you have to make sure that you're not only training well below 6:52 mile pace or 4:16 kilometer pace in training, but you're also paying attention to not only your pacing, making sure that you run a negative split, run that second half faster than you run the first half, but also making sure that you're not just sipping water in the race. You have to drink your fluids, okay? You have to also ingest calories. Make sure that you're giving your body that additional glycogen boost every time you get a gel, okay? This is a big mistake that a lot of marathoners that are trying to break the 3-hour marathon make. They're not taking in enough fluid. They're running far too aggressive in the first half of that race. Sometimes they're even on goal race pace up to around 20 miles or around a 32 kilometer mark, but they really fall apart in that last 10 kilometers. Okay, so make sure that you are paying attention to your nutrition, making sure you're getting enough sleep during the week. And most importantly, don't worry so much about how much sleep you get the night before the marathon, okay? Focus on the amount of sleep you're getting the week before the marathon, the week leading into the marathon, okay? That's where you want to make sure that you're fully rested. It's natural to not be able to fall asleep the night before a race. So just don't sweat. Don't sweat it too much, and don't worry so much if you can't get to sleep the night before the race. Okay, because your nerves, you're going to be rehearsing in the race. You're going to be rehearsing in your mind what you want to do in the race, and that's very important. Make sure that you continue during your build-up, focusing on mental rehearsal. Okay, see yourself running, relaxed, confident, passing people, getting across the finish line in your goal time, which is 2:59:59. And that is very, very important. The best middle to long distance runners I've trained with over the years, world-class runners, Olympians, they focus both on mental as well as physical training. So don't bypass mental rehearsal, okay? Don't place all of your focus just on physical training and bypass what's equally just as important as physical training, and that is mental rehearsal. So how hard is it to run a sub 3-hour marathon? Extremely difficult, okay? It's not going to be easy, but that being said, I promise you, the first time you break this barrier, you'll know that you can not only do it physically, but you've also finished in under that goal time, and you've also stayed tough mentally. You have to definitely believe in delayed gratification when it comes to breaking a 3-hour marathon. There's going to be a lot of you out there that may have to go through several iterations of 16 to 24 week block training buildups until you finally get to that 2:59:59. My recommendation is do not let up. Don't lose your enthusiasm. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what is your current personal best right now. Even if it's under 3 hours, I'd like to hear where you're currently at for the marathon. And if you haven't broken 3 hours, let me know in the comment section below what has been the biggest problem that you've had in the race that's caused you not to break the 3-hour marathon barrier yet. Okay, I'd love to hear that, and I will definitely respond to your comment. So I wish you all the best. I look forward to hearing about your 2:59:59, and we'll talk to you all in the next video.